A few months ago, I uploaded a video on the skin, but I was not able to upload more videos. But today, a new video is uploaded. So let's start. In that video, I explained you some physiology, histology, and some anatomy of the skin. But in this video, I will tell you some more detailing of the anatomy of the skin. So let's start. As you can see that the skin is highly complex. It is made up of hair, sweat pore, nerve, sweat gland, hair bulb, vein, artery, adipose tissue, epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, and subcutaneous tissue. Right? So we will go to each of these one by one. First, the hair. Um, as you know that hair is a very important part of our body, as it helps in the thermoregulation. How? Let me explain. You know that the hair, when hair stands straight, also known as goosebumps, they trap air in between them. As the air is bad conductor of heat, we retain our heat. So this is why the hairs help in thermoregulation. They also help in protection, like I refer to the goosebumps. In some animals, the goosebump when the goosebump occurs, their enemy gets scared. Okay, so let us move to the sweat pore. The sweat pore is basically a small opening in the skin through which the sweat come out. The sweat also helps in the thermoregulation. The sweat is produced from the sweat gland. The sweat is not only water and salt, it also has some waste substances of our body. Right? So next, the nerve. The nerves are very important part of skin, as all the sensory information like touch, pressure, temperature is first detected or sensed by the skin's nerve, and then then the signals are transmitted to the brain through the spinal cord. Next, the hair bulb. Hair bulb is nothing but simply the hair follicle. It is the part of the skin from which the hair is attached or from where it grows. Here, some cells named the melanocyte add their melanin to the keratin of the hair. This causes the black color of the hairs. Next, vein and arteries. They supply, they basically give the oxygenated blood to the skin and provide them nutrition. Next, the adipose tissue. The adipose tissue is very important, as many of the internal organs are highly delicate, and even a small touch to them can cause their damage. But but this adipose tissue protects them, as it is made up of fat. It absorbs most of the pressure or the most of the damage, so the internal organs do not get harmed. Next, the layers of the skin. There are basically three layers of the skin: the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Or the hypodermis is also known as subcutaneous tissue. In this image, you may be able to see the hypodermis and subcutaneous tissue differently, but it is one single layer only. Let us talk about the epidermis. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin. It is the most important part of the skin, as it protects us from injuries and even the cuts. It is mainly made up of dead cells or the or the stratified squamous epithelium. Right? Next, the dermis. Dermis is the thickest layer of the skin. It is below the epidermis. It has most of the important parts of the skin, like the sweat gland, hair bulb, the arteries and veins, nerves, and even the sebaceous gland. Next, the hypodermis. Hypodermis is basically made up of fat, so its major function, is to absorb the or to decrease the amount of injuries. Let me show you another diagram. Alright, in this diagram, you may be able to see some more important parts of the skin. Like this is the epidermis, this is the dermis, and this is the hypodermis, also known as subcutaneous tissue. First, let me explain you some more layers of the epidermis. The epidermis is subdivided into 5 layers. The first is the stratum corneum, second is the stratum granulosum, third is the stratum spinosum, fourth is the stratum luctum, and fifth is the stratum basal. Right? The stratum corneum is the outermost or the outermost layer of the skin. The stratum basal. The stratum basal is the layer which produces new cells for the skin. As the the cells of the stratum corneum gets killed or gets died or gets damaged, they are thrown out of the skin. Then the cells of stratum granulosum come up, then the cells of stratum spinosum comes up, then the cells of stratum luctum comes up, and then the cells of stratum basal comes up, which produces new cells. You may be able to see the sebaceous gland in this diagram, which is here. Right, which is right. This is the sebaceous gland. This is a touch receptor on the skin. These are the arteries and these are the veins. These are some more arteries and veins. Right, you can see a huge connection of arteries and veins and even nerves. Right, like this is the nerve. Okay, let me take another color. Okay, right, this is the nerve. Let me tell you some 2 more layers of the dermis. The dermis is divided into 2 more layers: the papillary layer of dermis and the reticular layer of dermis. As you can see, the papillary layer of dermis have some papilla on it. Right, these tiny projections are known as papilla. Right, and this is the reticular layer of dermis. Okay, let me show you another diagram. In this diagram, you are able to see some more parts like the hair shaft, the hair shaft, the oil gland, the lymph vessel, the nerve, fatty tissue, vein, artery, sweat gland, hair follicle, subcutaneous tissue, the dermis and epidermis. Right, the lymph vessel. As you know that the lymphatic system is also an important system in our body. The lymph is flown into whole body like the blood is flown, but into lymphatic vessels. Right, but there is no supply of lymph in the brain, as the lymph basically acts as a shock absorber. Okay, so in the place of lymph in the brain, there is the cerebrospinal fluid. Let me show you another diagram to show more clearly the histology of skin. Right, this one. You can see there are a lot of cells and basically the tissue or the histology or the microscopic image of the skin. This is the real specimen of the human skin. Like you can see the stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basal. There is a layer as well, the basement membrane of epidermis, which is basically the stratum basal only. Right? There are a lot of cells as well, like there is the corneocytes, the granular keratinocytes, the Langerhans cells, the spinous keratinocyte, the epidermal basal cells, the melanocytes. These are basically different cells in the skin that works differently. I will explain you all these cells in the next part of the skin. Let me show you another diagram. Right. So you can see in this diagram more clearly the epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, subcutaneous or fatty tissue, which is basically the epidermis only, the epidermal ridges, dermal papilla, papillary dermis, which is basically the same term, reticular dermis, and connective tissue septa. Let me show you another diagram. You might not identify this in the first sight, as it does not totally look like the skin, but it is the connective tissue in the skin, right? You can see a matrix, fibers, cells, and a lot more, right? So now let me tell you diseases of the skin. There are only two main diseases, the ringworm and the athlete foot. The ringworm is caused by a fungi, and the athlete foot is not another disease, but only the same disease, the ringworm that occurs on the foot. Let me show you the images of both. Here you can see the ringworm, right? It looks just like a ring. There's ring. Let me show you the image of athlete foot. You can see the athlete foot. You might not be able to see the rings properly, but as there are fingers on the foot, right? So the rings do not form totally, but they are rings only. Thank you for watching my video, and please comment, share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.